What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about what high ticket sales is, why it works, how it works, clearing up all the confusion and misinformation that's out there so that you guys have full understanding and are fully educated on how this industry works. Okay, so I pulled together some of my old high school skills and I put together little Google Slides for us. So we'll be ripping through these together, and this should clear up everything that you guys need to know before making a decision on whether this is something you can see yourself doing or not. All right, I'm going to do my best to explain everything in the most simple way possible because at the end of the day, it really is simple. Okay, so when talking about what high ticket sales is, it's just businesses that are selling expensive programs or services. Okay, and they're usually in the range of $3,000 to $20,000, sometimes even more. But I threw a couple examples here just so you guys have a better understanding. So you can think of like an online personal trainer charging $5,000, $6,000 for a 6 month body transformation, right? They'll make the diets for you, custom workouts, whatever you need. Okay. Another example is like a business coach charging $10,000 to help an entrepreneur grow their business or scale their business, right? Or sometimes it could be like a retainer type of service where you have a marketing agency charging $3,000 a month to run your paid ads for your company. Okay. So there's two types of, I guess, offers or businesses. One would be B2C when you're selling to a consumer, or one would be B2B where you're selling to actual businesses. But nonetheless, your role as a closer is to just have meaningful conversations with the leads that come in, help them make a buying decision that will benefit them or their company, and then see if the program or service itself would actually work for the customer, right? Because if it doesn't work, they don't have any business being on the call or buying the program or service in the first place, right? Next is what are offer owners? You're going to see this term offer owners get thrown around like crazy, okay? Offer owners are just business owners, okay? They are the owners of these companies that are selling these programs or services. Okay, and so their main focus cannot be on sales. It's usually on content, ads, and fulfillment. So content meaning like creating YouTube videos, Instagram, TikTok videos, running paid ads, whether it's with themselves or with a marketing team, and actually doing the fulfillment. So once the client buys a service or product, they need to make sure that they're delivering on their guarantee and their promise. Right? So like I said before, they don't have time for these long sales conversations. They can't be hopping on Zoom calls all day. So this is where the closers step in and they just turn qualified leads into paying clients. So I taught some examples of offer owners that you guys probably know. They're pretty big in the space. So we have Iman Gadzi. He's obviously selling like business mentorships. It kind of changes as the years go on. He kind of adapts with what's hot. Brett Scales is doing brand scaling. TGR is working on like trading, stock market program, and I'm sure you guys know Grant Cardone. He's more on the real estate and sales side of things. Okay, so these people are all well-known people that have an info product, right? They are offer owners. Moving on to the sales team ecosystem, the sales team is usually made up of like three main roles. Okay, so you got appointment setters, you got closers, and you got sales managers. And we'll be going more into depth on how each of these work. But the appointment setter is just the first point of contact. So they're there to qualify the lead, build trust and urgency. So as soon as a lead comes in from marketing, they're speaking to them first. And think of them as the filtration system for the closer. And the closer just has a calendar with calls booked into it where they're hopping on Zoom calls and simply closing the deal. Now, the sales manager, think of him as just more of a team captain. So he's going to be managing the team, the KPIs. He's going to be doing some sales training with the team just to keep everyone on the same page and staying fresh and alive and motivated, right, each and every day. So, like I said, we're going to be going into depth on each of these. So, the first point of contact, the setter. Okay, like I explained before, the leads will be coming in from ads, social media, referrals, YouTube, right? So, the first point of contact is going to be through them. Now, qualifying the lead, what I mean by that is, are they serious and can they afford the program in the first place? Right? Warming up the conversation, building that initial trust, because you have to understand that you're going to be talking to people that are from across the world that have never met you before. So building trust is super, super important in this industry. And then from there, once they are qualified, once they are warm, then they're going to book the call directly into a closer's calendar. Okay? And like I said, you could think of them as like a filtration system or the gatekeepers to make sure that only real prospects talk to the closers, right? Setters are typically like newer and a little bit less skilled than the closers, but can still expect to make like 4 to 6K a month on a solid offer. All right, moving on to the coolest person on the sales team, the closer. So what you guys want to be doing. So think of the closer as just a trusted advisor, okay? They're not a pushy salesman. Like forget that whole Wolf of Wall Street stereotype, hard closing. It's nothing like that at all. Okay, you're not there to manipulate them. You're there to ask smart questions, identify pain points, and actually connect the dots and bridge the gap, right? So the framework that we use on a very, very surface level is to simply just uncover their problem, whether it be with themselves or their business, clarify their desire, and then highlight the gap of where they are and where they actually want to be. Right now, how it actually works in practice on, I guess, a day-to-day is that you'll have a calendar, you'll have the setters book in calls on your calendar, and then it's up to you to make sure you're in contact with those leads, call them on time, hop on the Zoom, run the framework, and actually guide the prospect to a sale. Now, earning potential for closers is obviously a lot higher than setters because they're usually the most skilled on the team. Okay, and industry average, you can look at making anywhere from around 10 to 15% on commission. So for every sale you make, and that usually equates to about 9 to 20K per month on a strong offer. Okay, now obviously, like Noah and I have told you before, yes, we've worked with closers that have made 40, 50K per month, and that is doable. But that's usually when you become a sales manager or when you've been in the industry for some time and you're really good at what you do. Because at the end of the day, you are getting paid off results. So the better you are, the more that you make. Just to give you guys a very quick day in the life as a closer, let's say you wake up on a Tuesday, you got 4 calls on your calendar, and the first thing you do is you wake up and you go to your morning meeting. Okay, you talk with the team, you do some role play, you get ready for the day. Okay, then you have your first call at 12 in the afternoon, right? And let's say you close it. Okay, you close it for $5,000, you get 15% commission on that right away. Now, your next call, let's say, is at 2, but he no-shows. And that happens, right? People get busy, people get caught up at work. Sometimes you're going to have some no-shows, right? And your third call, let's say you close it again, another $5,000. So you're at $10,000 in cash collected that day and getting 15% on that money. So you'd make $1,500 US on that day specifically, right? And then let's say, you have your last call around 4:30, and he ends up not showing. Right? And then that day you would pack it in, that would be done for the day, and you would have made $1,500 that day. Okay? And you do the same thing every single day after day, and until you become the best on your team. This is something very important that I don't see a lot of people talking about, and it's why do companies even pay closers in the first place? But when you think like a business owner, it's actually really simple. Think of if you were spending $20,000 a month on bringing in leads, you would obviously want your hard-earned money and the people that it brings in skilled, trained, qualified hands, right? Because if they're not, then your money essentially is just being wasted, right? So I put together some simple math here for you guys, but let's say you have a $5,000 offer price and you're getting 70 calls in per month. At least if you have a closer closing at a 28% close rate, you're going to be signing 20 clients, right? 20 times 5,000 is $100,000 in revenue. So after a $20,000 ad spend, the offer owner or the business owner would collect $80,000 net in profit, and then closer earns 15% commission, so $15,000, right? And so the bottom line, but the point I'm trying to make is that these companies or offer owners, they don't see closers as like an expense, right? They see them as a way to make more money or squeeze the juice on the amount of money that they're spending, right? And plus, they don't have to waste time on sales calls themselves. They can focus on other more important parts of the business for them, right? So having someone that's much better at sales and handling the leads they paid for is what all offer owners want. I have a bit of a bone to pick with this one, but misconceptions versus reality. I don't really understand why people have such a hard time understanding it, but I can see where the skepticism comes from, especially as it being online, people have a lot of questions or don't really fully understand it. But what high ticket sales is not, it is not an MLM, it is not a pyramid scheme. You're not recruiting your friends or other people and bringing them under you or buying inventory and then selling it to the next person. You're just selling real services for established companies. Okay, the only difference versus working for a regular company is that you don't have to drive in to the physical store, right? You're just doing it from your laptop. You're doing it from home. You're doing it from vacation. Okay, now this is another one we get a lot is, do we need experience? Now, obviously experience helps in every industry that you go into, but you don't need experience to get into it. What matters is actually learning the psychology, practicing calls, because that's what companies care about, right? If you have someone with 10 years experience and you have someone with 2 months of training, if the guy with 2 months of training is better than the guy with 10 years of experience, they're going to take the guy with 2 months, right? Because it's all on commission, right? Now, this is another one we get is, do we need a huge following or do you need a huge following? No. The company provides the leads for you with their ads and their content. You just show up and close, okay? You don't have to have an online presence. You don't have to post. You don't have to do anything like that. You're just taking sales calls on Zoom, okay? Obviously, we get, is this a scam? Is this scammy? No, it is not. It's ethical selling, helping people solve real problems with real solutions. Okay. But like I said, I completely understand where the skepticism comes from, because even me, when I started, and Noah as well, like, we were a little bit sketched out in terms of like the whole thing. But once you actually have an understanding on it and you're educated on it, it's very, very simple. So, lifestyles and possibilities. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more that goes into it. But just to kind of give you guys an idea of why we chose it, and I guess if you're looking for these types of things, why it might be a good fit for you guys as well, is that you're working from your laptop, right? You can work from wherever you want, beautiful places, vacations, cottages. It doesn't really matter, anywhere with Wi-Fi. Okay, so don't go to some remote part of the world that does not have any Wi-Fi. Okay, you're not tied down to one location or a rigid schedule. Although there is times that you're expected to be on and take your calls, you still have some freedom in terms of blocking your calendar and leaving some spots in the day to go to the gym or grab a coffee or grab something to eat. So you are your own boss in a sense. Okay, this income is based on results, not hours, not salary. Okay, we love this because it's up to you how much you make, right? It's not up to the time that you work, right? The better you get, the more you can make. And the better you get, the more you can make with putting less work in, actually, right? And what's cool with us and with doing this in general is just making money with your words and skills, not your body, right? Imagine just literally having a skill that is not going to break down your body, and you're just making money from literally just having conversations with people, right? And then surrounding yourself with ambitious, like-minded people, usually around the age of 20 to 30. So they're not going to be older co-workers that don't really relate to you, which is something we found super, super cool. We've made like lifelong friends. We've went on vacation. We've met up with so many people, and you learn so much from people that have the same mindset as you, right? But yeah, these are just some of the things that we've found along our journey. And so if you're looking for some of this stuff as well, this is something that automatically just comes with it. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much how everything works. I hope this cleared the air on any confusion or hesitations or misinformations that you guys may have had. But one thing I will say, guys, I know that this is going to be a completely new space or industry for a lot of you, but it's something that Noah and I were completely uneducated and honestly skeptical about when we started out. But we took the time to learn about it, educate ourselves, and then made the decision to actually give it a shot. So my only advice to you guys would be always educate yourself on something before making a decision on whether you feel that it's right or wrong for you. Okay? But other than that, if you guys have any questions, just DM us and we'll be happy to help and happy to answer those for you. All right? See you guys in the next one.